Hello everybody and welcome back. I hope you had some really interesting workshops yesterday, and I hope you had a really good visit this morning that was inspiring, and I also hope you had a good lunch, but not too much so that you're not going to fall asleep when we're going to do the afternoon session, because we have some very interesting topics to discuss before it's time to wrap up this forum and look ahead at what we might be doing next year. So to make sure that you are awake, that your lunch is going to go down, we're going to do a little energizer. So put your phones away, your notepads away, and stand up. And maybe you've heard of the traditional dance they do in New Zealand, the haka. But so we thought doing a haka here, but then we realized the original hakas are, how to say it politely, offensive. They basically say, this is what I'm going to do to your mother, or this is what I'm going to do to you. So they're not really inclusive and friendly. So we're going to do a haka, but we're going to do it a little bit more appropriate to this conference. Also, I'm not a haka specialist, so you will do it yourself. So I will do the first one. I will do it, then you copy me. Then I will appoint some volunteers. You will get a text on the screen, and you'll do the next one. Yeah? Okay, so I get a text, I'm going to do it, you copy me, and then we get another volunteer. Melanie, what's the first? Oh yeah, we believe in vocational excellence. Okay. We believe in vocational excellence.
We believe in vocational excellence.
Yeah, but you have to stamp once more. We believe in vocational excellence. Very well. Can we have the next one? We work on skills for the future. May I ask you, can you lead us in the haka for this one? Yeah, come here on stage.
But I need a microphone.
Now, oh yeah, there's a microphone here. Yeah. Yeah. I'll hold this for you, then you can fully concentrate on the haka.
We work on skills for future.
We work on skills for future. Very well, thank you very much. Can I ask you, you do the next one? Oh, this is a nice one. Reskill, upskill, new skill. Well, lead us, and you have to do a little bit dance with it. Yeah.
Reskill, upskill, new skill.
Okay, reskill, upskill, new skill. Very well, thank you very much. Can I ask you for the next one? Yeah, no, don't look away. You are the... Can I ask you as a volunteer? No? May I ask you to be a volunteer for the next one? Come on, you want to do it? Yeah, come on. Okay. This is your text. Skills for the green and digital future of Europe.
Skills for the green and digital future of Europe.
A little bit more impressive. Come on.
Skills for the green and digital future of Europe.
Yeah, but you have to stamp a little bit.
Skills for the digital and green future of Europe.
Okay, well, let's do it once. Can we do it? I'm going to ask you for this one. Yeah, you can do this. Yeah, make it, you can do all these things you want, yeah.
Okay. Center for Vocational and Excellence are coming for you.
Okay, now you do it. You do it. Now you got to do it. Here we're going to do it. Oh, can we have the last one? They have to do it too, yeah. Now you do it like he did it. Centers of Vocational Excellence are coming for you. Very well, very well. May I ask you for the next one? Yeah, come on. May I ask you for the next one? Yeah. We need a little bit of gender balance here. Your text is vocational excellence is collaboration, innovation, cooperation.
Vocational excellence is collaboration, innovation, cooperation.
Very good. Now you do it, you'll do it, come on. Vocational excellence is collaboration, innovation, cooperation. Okay, I think we have one or two more. Oh yeah, this is a very good one. May I ask you for this one?
Ready?
Yeah.
Digital technologies for apprenticeships for the green transition of the economy.
Okay, now you do it. 1, 2, 3. Digital technologies for apprenticeships for the green transitions of the economy.
Yeah.
Okay. No one, no one wants to do this one. Boudewijn, where are you? But this one was specially made for Boudewijn. Well, he's going to do it later. Okay. We're going to scare. We can do this one maybe tomorrow. Okay, we'll leave this one. You're not really liking vet. One for Zhao. Zhao, you want to do this one? No. Yeah, the audience chose you.
Which one do I do?
This one, yeah.
How can I do this one? Come on.
Just try it.
Okay. Effective adoption mechanisms and peer-reviewed systematical evaluation, digital agoras for multi-module future-oriented learning, ecosystems in a transition context.
Well, if agoras don't wake you up, I don't know what is. Please be seated. Okay, so in the next half hour we're going to talk about what these coves mean for the national VET systems, because of course it's very important that we have this European funded VET systems, but it would be a kind of a wasted opportunity if it only stays within these selected centers and all the other national centers aren't affected by it. So we're going to talk about it. Can we have, Melly, the next slide? What do you want to know from our audience?
We will talk about how the national implementation plan in your countries has to do with the vocational excellence plan in your countries.
Yes, so you can rank, and this also goes for the people who join us online. You can, we ask you, do you have a national implementation plan for vocational excellence? You can say yes, and it works. You say yes, but it's just paper, no one reads it, no one does anything with it. You can say no, we don't have one yet, or you can say, I have no clue, we might have one, but I never heard of it. Oh, there are 7 ones that have it and it's working. Oh, but a lot of people have no clue if they have it or not. So it might be good to talk about this. To talk about this here, I'm going to call Chiara Riondono, Macia Lasota, and Lydia Bercoso Rufo. Can I please? Can I invite you here? In this session, Chiara, you're the head of unit at the European Commission. You will give us a little presentation about what you as the Commission expect from these national plans and how far we are. And then we're going to have 2 examples from Europe. We're going to hear from Poland and we're going to hear from Spain. What are your national implementation plans? And then we're going to see if you're ambitious or maybe slightly less. Chiara, may I ask you to explain to us, what do you expect of us?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Rogier. So what is vocational excellence? We've been talking about vocational excellence for these 2 days. We've seen it in practice. We've even hacked it. So we have a good grasp of what vocational excellence is. But what do we think at the European Commission? Well, we think, first of all, that vocational excellence is not and should not be something for an elite. Excellence does not mean that it has to be just for the few. Excellence in vocational education and training should really be the norm. And vocational excellence means being part of skills ecosystems and contributing to regional development, innovation, and smart specializations. It means being part of research and education and scientific community and business. It means helping learners acquire vocational skills for sure, but also soft skills. And we saw how important this is. It means being built on quality assurance and build innovative forms of partnerships in the world of work. And why at the Commission do we like centers of vocational excellence so much? Well, let me tell you, because before excellence becomes the norm, something and someone has to lead the way. They have to show that it works. They have to show that it's not just words, but really it has a value added. It has a value added for the students. It has a value added for the businesses in the area. And it's really a win-win model, and we can all benefit from it. And as Rogier mentioned, the National Implementation Plan, you know that we have a Council recommendation on that that sets the policy framework at European level. We have also a declaration, what we call the Osnabrück Declaration, that brings together not only the member states and the candidate countries that have subscribed to it and the EEFTA countries, but also the social partners, the VET providers, the civil society, because VET, especially VET excellence, is really a common and joint effort. And we are very, very pleased to see that half of the countries have centers of vocational excellence in their national plans, and we will hear some example from Spain, from Poland. But yes, we are happy that half of them have it, but yeah, it could be better. It could be more than half. And we're also very happy to see that European funds are helping in this endeavor. And even if they're called differently, we have the Campus de Métiers de Qualification in France. We have other names for these. We have training knowledge center, industry skill centers, but we are really talking all about the same thing, this cooperation, innovation approach that we have seen so far. Some of the coves are specific. They follow a specific challenge. For example, we have green coves in Austria. We have coves for higher vet in Germany. But really, we want to showcase and we want all to learn from each other and see what works best. So when we look also at the supports that we can give at European level, we have, you have heard, 400 million euro that we are going to use until 2027 to hopefully support 100 and more networks of centers of vocational excellence. And if we look back just at the 2021 call and the projects that are starting this year, we are proud to say that we are funding 13 projects. They involve 37 countries in the EU and outside the EU, and we are involving 331 organizations. Sorry, I hope that you heard it so far, because I'm almost at the end of it. So, but let's come back to the here and now. We have seen what cooperation at EU level means on this really great outreach. We've seen how we can bring that with these partnerships on the global stage. But here in Spain, we have two leads of two centers of vocational excellence. One in the furniture and wood sector, and the other one led by the Basque Country that we visited also today, or some of us did, on advanced manufacturing. And the Basque VET system is really a world-class example, and it inspires us in our work at European level. And just let me take the opportunity to thank very much our Basque colleagues, together with the Dutch colleagues, that are leading, animated, really breathing life into a fantastic community of practice, and thank the many of you here in the room and online that have joined this community. So I look forward to hearing from the examples. And let me just say one more thing, conclude by saying, let's make excellence the norm in VET, and let the Centers of Vocational Excellence lead the way. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so let them lead the way. Well, we're going to ask the audience, before we go to the national examples, what the relationship is between the coves and the national VET system. Melanie, what's the next question we have?
The next question is, the coves are to our national VET system, and there's the possibility to rank again,
Can we
or
have it
to
on
vote?
screen? Can we have the Mentimeter on screen? Yeah, here they come, yeah.
So you can vote between saying that coves are really the drivers for change, or the second one, maybe they're a little like extra, giving some extra value. Then we have the Ivy League, so they are really the special driver force. And maybe you can say that, well, coves are leaving the rest behind, or they are completely separate worlds. So basically the national VET system and the COVs completely separately. Or maybe COVs are slower and less fancy than your national VET systems.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you choose Ivy League, you mean we created a new league of super fancy schools on top of our national system. But if you say leaving the rest behind, basically these COVs are taking resources and they shine away, and we kind of forget the national system. Oh, some people are actually saying that, but well, some people see it as driver for change. May I ask you, what did you? Oh, you didn't. Do you know what? Who says it was a driver for change in our country? Here. In Austria, can you stand up, please?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Thomas. I'm from the Chamber of Economics, and we are in 2 COVs, in green innovation and green skills. And I think that the COVs have the potential to bring the different education systems together to one table. And to discuss what we really need in order to make the green transition
And do you already
possible.
see that non-COVs are already benefiting from what has been innovated in the COVs?
I would say yes.
Okay, so it's really a driver for change. Wonderful. Who dares to say they are leaving the rest behind in our country? No, we don't. Then probably it's people at home watching who are saying this. Okay, so Chiara, we have an optimistic audience, and most people say yes, they are a driver for change. They really bring the vets together, or maybe, well, they are not the big driver for change, but they bring a little extra. They're a nice cherry on the cake to our national system. Are you happy with these kind of results?
I am very happy. I am sorry to see that there are 6 cases where the rest has been left behind, but I think the idea of these centers is really to show a path. And then, of course, it is a collective effort for others to follow. It might not be immediate, but that's the direction that we want to go.
Wonderful. Okay, well, we're going to hear from Spain and Portugal first. Maci, what is the program in Poland, and how is it driven by COVs?
Yes, in Poland, we were greatly inspired by the idea of vocational excellence, and we actually decided to make it a highlight of our national implementation plan and of our national recovery plan, because we are going to finance from the national recovery plan and from RRF funds, actually pre-financing it from our national Polish Fund for Development, 120 of sectoral skills centers based on the COV idea. Why 120? Because we in our schools are teaching in over 200 professions in 32 sectors. We subdivided these sectors in roughly groups of professions that are taught schools that have some tradition in business associations and are represented somehow. And 120 is the total we are going to do. We will invest 320 million euros for that. The call for proposals is already there. It has been published in September this year, and the applications will be submitted until mid-December. We expect the first centers based on that idea to be there already next year, 2023. We finalized the project in June 2026. Who will create these centers? Basically, sectoral organizations like employers' organizations, chambers of commerce, professional associations, together with bodies running vocational schools. So they are both public. There are sub-regional units of local, well, sub-regional government who are running these schools, and there are also private ones, some associations, actually foundations that run these schools. They will always be done in partnership between employers' organizations and these bodies running vocational schools. So they will be located either on the school's premises or nearby. The activity will cover basically 4 areas, with the most important one being education and training. And they will focus on professional skills, but also they will develop transversal skills, basic skills, and they will be open to everybody, which means to students, but also to teachers for their further training, also to the employees in a given sector who will be also trained in these centers. Integration and support, they will form, like, for example, triangles of knowledge. You may know about it from previous sessions. And they will also be innovative. In particular, we decided that each of these centers needs to cover digital skills and green skills. And of course, innovation in every sector that is needed, especially for the professions that are represented. And they will also deal with professional counseling and promotion. To show you one example of something that we consider is very near to this concept is a roofers training center by Polish Roofers Association in Pruszków near Warsaw. They already formed this kind of partnership, and they are really there. We've got a lot of training centers in Poland, and for some of them it will be just a question of additional equipment, some modernization. We aren't beginning from the scratch. So that's basically
wow, wonderful.
All I wanted to say about our project.
Thanks so much for this. Yeah, you get an applause for this. Lydia, you're the Director General for Vocation Training in Spain. Show us.
I'm the head of the International Relations area.
Then I was.
It's not the same.
Then I was completely wrongly informed.
Under the General Directorate of.
Well, for today you're the General Director. No one's going to correct it. I would say.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
Take it away. Show us what you're going to do in Spain.
Okay. So can I have my presentation?
Yeah, I think they're slowly changing it. So I would say take it away.
So in Spain, the idea of creating a national network of centers of excellence has its origins in 2018 with the communication from the Commission where centers of excellence were established. Under these premises and with the I want you to see it. Okay.
Yeah, there, good.
There we go.
One too much. Yeah.
Okay. So, under these premises, and with the whole transformation of the VET system of Spain in 2018, with the modernization plan of the VET system, we decided to have as one of the main strategic scopes innovation, and within that, we decided to create a network of centers of excellence. Then, in 2022, a new organic law for the organization and integration of VET was passed, and the idea or the message of innovation is within the whole text. So, this is why when the Spanish Ministry of Education was asked to develop or write a national implementation plan, we couldn't forget to have the digital and green transformation of VET within it. And we decided we had the idea of creating a network of 50 centers of vocational excellence. That was our call. And some of you might wonder why, if there is already a European network of centers of excellence, and in Spain, as some people from some autonomous communities know, we do have, some communities have regional centers, networks of centers of VET excellence. What is the main goal of having another national network? Well, the idea was boosting and bringing to the forefront national state topics such as digitalization and sustainability. So this is why we created the order to regulate these 50 centers and the call to apply. This was last July, and it was open for 40 days. And who could apply? Well, regional administrations could apply. Each regional administration could submit could propose 3 applicants per application. And in each of these applicants, they had to establish the center that was going to be, the center chosen to belong to the National Network of Centers of Excellence, the companies involved with that center, and the regional administrations linked to it. The application had to be linked to one of the 14 productive sectors included in the call. How did the autonomous regions, the regional administration had to do it? Well, they had to prepare what we called a plan description. They had to describe why they wanted to become a center of VET excellence. They had to establish the financial assessment budget requested, so they had to explain why they were asking for the money they were doing, and then they had to provide us with all the accrediting documents in the call. How could these administrations organize their plan? Well, the plan is thought to be implemented within 3 years, and it has to be divided into 2 main stages. The first stage includes and focuses basically on the training of the teachers. Then we have what we have called Primary Project 1, which focuses on the technical, digital, and methodological transformation of the center, and then we have the follow-up of that primary project. In the second stage, we have primary projects from number 2 to number 6, and they focus on other aspects also linked to innovation, such as training regional teachers, working on innovation and research projects with other regions within Spain, reviewing the profile needs of the center, reviewing the curriculum, and also adding disruptive applied technology to the centers. So the administrations applied, and in the Ministry of Education and VET, we got their applications and we had to assess them. And in order to do that, the ministry prepared a scale of merits divided into the 4 main sections you can see, considering the training and VET services of the center, the projects and linked to innovation, how these centers apply that organization into their local ecosystem, the local focus they give to the projects proposed, and also the plan itself. So, you know, the Ministry of Education and VET, with the help of representatives from the COE, the companies in Spain, the trade unions, and a representative from the European network of COVES, assessed all the applications in a committee, and in order to choose the chosen centers, they didn't only had into account or took into account the punctuation, the scale of merits. They also considered the regional distribution within our country and the productive sectors of the centers who applied. Each application could be up to 1 million euros, and those are the different quantities per each of the primary projects. And well, the funds come from Next Generation EU funds and the Spanish Recovery, Transformation and Resilience Plan.
Wonderful. Sounds really good. Yeah, basically I think the key question to the two of you would be, if there would not have been European centers of vocational excellence, would you still more or less have done the same in your country because people realized we need national centers of excellence, or would it have not existed at all?
Well, it wouldn't be the same scale, you know, because we're, as I said, very inspired by the idea, and it was very popular in our businesses and among the school-leading bodies.
How important is, because we heard from Spain, European funding is very important in how you work. How is that in Poland?
Yes, it is. It is very important to develop that idea. We will be never able to act in such a large scale and to address that. But not only the funding, the idea itself is also very, very important to us.
Yeah. Lydia, you use European funding.
No, I was going to say that regarding your previous question, we cannot know what we haven't, the situation we haven't been in. But what is true is that every little counts. So having a European call and then a national one, it's going to be an extra benefit for the...
If you use European funds, there's always strings attached and you have to comply to certain things. Did you have to include, to be allowed to use the European funds, things in your national plans that you didn't really like yourself? Or are all the things that Europe asks of you if you use their money, are they good ideas?
I think we couldn't complain because every initiative brings positive aspects. Of course, some of them work in certain ecosystems and others in, but I'm not complaining at all. I'm not here with the Commission.
Of course, very good. Well, I saw a lot of, at least the national coordinator in Spain is already taking pictures. Of course, then the very important question is, how can we create the synergies? Melanie, what is the next question we want to know to the audience and also hear from you?
Yes, we have asked already some people on Mentimeter, how do you create synergies between the Erasmus Coves and the national initiatives? And we already have some good answers, but I invite you also to share your experiences with us.
Okay, what are the first ones that are coming in?
So there are some comments saying that, well, Coves are not that well known yet, but we also have people who have concrete experience that national policymakers and regional authorities should be involved actively in the projects themselves, so they should be project partners and start from the very beginning, from the project application in the process.
Yeah. Chiara, is it a good idea to start with, if you build a national network, to bring, basically use the coves as the spider in the center of the web and start building around that? So that you use the coves to build your national network. You start with a cove and then you build an ecosystem around it. Is that a good way of working?
I think it works a little bit the other way around, in the sense that the cove is born in a sense of the territory and what is needed there. You wouldn't start a completely new ecosystem where you have something that is working on advanced manufacturing. But the Coves really it becomes the center. What it does, it aggregates the small and medium enterprises, the talents, the civil society that is on a given territory, and act both as a glue and as an incubator for innovation and ideas. So it's really very much linked to the territory, and the extra dimension that we bring with the European networks is really to link to other experiences and learn from each other and try to expand what is good and minimize the challenges.
Yeah, Machi, the idea of a COVE is not only what we do and how we do it, but also how we govern it, how we organize it. Do you have a lot of ideas taken from the way we do governance in COVEs also to create the national centers?
Yes, it is basically based on the ideas we have from here. So the governance thing is really in and is quite important to build. And there is a great potential for networking once we already have these centers. But until we have them, there is also a great potential to network the schools themselves, and international cooperation is thriving. So we have in this room people from vocational schools who are actively cooperating with other ones and building such networks. So yes, it is an added value once we have these centers, but it's up to the stakeholders to really moderate these networks and to develop them.
Yeah. Chiara, it's been told to me a lot, we don't want the COVEs to become the Ivy League of VET. It should benefit everybody. Are you not afraid anymore that there is a risk in some places that it becomes an Ivy League?
No, I don't think there is a huge risk of that. I think the idea is what is developed in a center that has a bit more experience and a bit more maybe funding behind their back, it's beneficial to all. And what they can dare to do in an experimental way, and they can risk to fail also, then can be passed on. So that was really my main message, and we don't want vocational excellence to be confined to these centers or just to the very few. We want this to become the norm. We want this to benefit the whole of the society.
Yeah. Is there something important we are forgetting about how we can make sure that the whole VET system nationally benefits from the COVEs? Most of it's coming digital. I'm going to go to France. I saw you taking pictures of the screen. Are there some ideas you're going to steal to implement in France?
Well, I was first very impressed.
Can you stand up then? The cameras can see you.
Well, hello everybody. I was very impressed by what I've been presented today. Well, first, thanks for mentioning the Campus des Métiers des Qualifications. It was a very good accent. Thank you very much. And I was pleased to notice also what happening in Poland and inspired by what has been said in Spain, because today we had the opportunity to be the Technican. I was impressed, but the whole concept of deploying and letting the opportunity to every center to apply is something we are thinking about, but we are not the whole concept. And then going to your question about the COVEs, and the interaction. First of all, it's, of course, for us, it's very inspiring. It is the opportunity to open the doors. I believe, and all the people I've been talking these days in several languages, we all realized we were maybe too focused on our country without knowledge of what is happening elsewhere. Okay. And definitely, we cannot, therefore, settle what is excellence. We have seen the different version and definition of excellence, and I believe that the best one is the one about collaboration and sharing ideas thanks to something that look like COVEs.
Okay, Chiara, when are you most proud of the success of this? Is it when every country has created a nationalized, adapted to their special needs VET system, or if we have basically the same VET systems in all 27 member states because they learn so much from each other and we have a standard?
Well, one thing that you have to learn fast when you work on education and training at EU level is that you never use the word harmonization. So never ever we will say we want to go for one model. What works very well on arts and craft for restoration of cathedrals is not the same that would work on micro circuits. It's not the same that would work in a different country. So what we want is the model. What we want is to learn each other, and we do, because when we see something that works very well in one project, maybe you will find it coming up in the call next year. But what is important is the innovation, is to leave the possibility to everyone to adapt to their territory, to work on tourism, on textile, on technology, technology or more traditional crafts, but what we want is really the partnership, the collaboration, the innovation, the courage, and yes, and the spirit that we have seen in this conference.
Okay, wonderful. No harmonization, but a lot of collaboration. We're going to do that. Melanie, I have some new suggestions coming in how national systems can benefit from COVES.
Yes, so it's adding very well to what has been said here already, but basically COVES as platforms of exchange and as a way to scale up the national systems, and not only as glue or incubator, as has been said, but also as pushers and drivers, catapulters of change in the national systems.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for this, and I hope it won't take very long because you have done your work so well that excellence is the standard. Thank you so much for this. Big round of applause. Yeah, we're going to talk about social inclusion, and this is a session that's created by the European Training Foundation. For consistency, they asked me to moderate it as well, so I learned very well from them what I wanted to talk about, which is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about social inclusion. We have a question for you on the Mentimeter also for this. Melanie, what do we want to know?
So how should VET, Vocational Excellence, promote social inclusion?
Aha, okay, so how should VET, Vocational Excellence, promote social inclusion? It's an open question. We'd like to hear some suggestions from you. How should the VET system work towards social inclusion? While you answer these questions, I'm going to ask the head of unit of the European Training Foundation, Georgios Sisimos. And I'm going to get you a microphone while you get an applause. Because
Thank you.
Yeah, Georgios, thank you.
Good afternoon. Yesterday I was sitting while I was presenting and I was moving all my hands up and down. So now I have the opportunity to move my legs as well. So that's good. So I will be very short because I will just introduce the next topic, which is all about Centers of Excellence and social inclusion. How do the Centers of Excellence contribute to social inclusion and bring into the discussion also elements from the debate yesterday afternoon. I thought that was a really good debate on what are those features that help a Center of Excellence to work on social inclusion. But before I pass the floor to the organizers of the session and the 6 speakers that you will listen to, I just want to say one word about the European Training Foundation, ETF, that is, let's say, coordinating this session. So at ETF, we follow, of course, we're an EU agency, so we follow the line of the European Commission. It was presented earlier on by Chiara, and the perception of centers of vocational excellence. But of course, being an EU agency mandated to work outside the EU with countries that they are not members of the EU, for us the international dimension of vocational excellence is very important. And by the way, it's also very inclusive. The idea that you bring in examples and learning and best practices from all around the world. And that is the role of ETF. So back in 2020, we launched our network. You may know about it, the ENE network, we call it, ETF Network for Excellence. Nowadays, it has more than 260 members from more than 40 countries around the world. And what do? We connect the Centers of Excellence together. So you heard about the national network in Spain. Imagine that network working globally now. So you connect different Centers of Excellence, working in different thematic areas or different economic sectors. And what they do, they discuss, they learn together, but they also try to feed back to the policy cycle. It's important that what we know from the Centers of Excellence goes to the policymakers as well. And they introduce that for the improvement of the VET system. That is fundamental. We call that the transmission of excellence. So in doing so, we have developed different sub-initiatives, small groups, small clusters of Centers of Excellence working together in different thematic areas. So today you will hear from one of those clusters, which is on social inclusion. So there we have 9 Centers of Excellence from Israel, from Turkey, from Moldova, from Georgia, from Zimbabwe, from Malawi, and from Albania. 9 centers of excellence with the support of NAIP, which is a center of excellence in Italy. They're working together to identify examples, identify best practices, but also feed to the policymakers what they should take into account when designing the VET system, designing VET policies in social inclusion. So that is the idea, and today we have a cluster of 6 speakers from those centers to bring their own experience. And what is the innovation developed that is linked with social inclusion? That's all I wanted to say. So thank you very much, and I leave the floor to the speakers.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Melanie, what have people been saying?
So there's interesting answers about how VET or how COVs especially can be, well, changers of mindset. So they can promote change of mindset in staff, for example, and they can offer flexible pathways with different possibilities for different people. So basically moving away from a one-fits-all model and towards a teaching according to individual needs.
Okay, well, then let's see, before we get to talk to the centers of excellence, how well are you doing, do you think, yourself? Where you can rank yourself, that's the next question. How would you rank your institution, or if you're a policymaker, the institutions in your country, how would you rank yourself on inclusiveness in regard to physical impairments? Can people in a wheelchair access you? Learning impairments, have you differentiated to specific needs? People from disadvantaged backgrounds, are you welcoming for them and accessible for them? People with mental health issues, do you support that? Cultural diversity, so are you accessible to people who are not member of the majority cultures in your country? People with complex multi-problems, a lot of students we see, they have and mental health issues and they from poverty, and they have several reasons why they are might have some problems. And also, are you not only open to people from disadvantaged backgrounds, but also open to their communities, not only supporting the students or the learners, but a whole community for this. Oh, and you can rank on a scale from 1 to 10. Melanie, how optimistic are people?
Well, so far, the most points is there for the disadvantaged background, so there seems to be quite a work going on there. Also regarding cultural diversity, well, the mental health issues and complex multi-problems, they do not look so well here.
Not very well, no. Okay, well, let's going to hear from the Centers of Excellence around the world. Zeynep Dereli, Beshim Shaya, Lev Berman, Priscilla Chihota, Enoch Yuma, and Miriam Memado from Georgia. Please join me here. Hi, welcome. Yeah, take a chair there. We have only 6 microphones. We have 4 microphones for 6 people, so you have to share a little bit. That's the 2 of you. You can share with the 3 of you, and you can share with the 3 of you. I would like to hear from each of you where you're from and what is your best practice that you do. What is your secret or the thing you would like to promote when we talk about social inclusion? May I start with you?
Yes, of course. I'm Zeynep Dereli. I'm from Turkey. It's a pleasure to be here amongst friends, amongst people who are working on making sure that vocational capabilities and vocational education is at the forefront of countries. And as it was just mentioned, it's really important that countries like Turkey, who are not in the EU, are able to benefit from the best practices. In my country, one of the main impediments to vocational education is actually the stigma attached to vocational schools. I don't know if other countries are experiencing this, but parents don't really want their kids to go to vocational schools. No matter what you call them, you might call them centers of excellence. In the minds of the parents, unfortunately, it's not, it means if a child ends up going to a vocational school, it means that they actually haven't succeeded, and their possibility of future success in life is limited due to that. Therefore, it's really important that we get to, at the policy level and also at the social level, we get to benefit from the international networks that you are providing here, which is invaluable, to make sure that people understand that these skills are going to be at the forefront of success in the future rather than the impediments to success.
Focusing on success. Okay, thank you very much. Priscilla Chihota, you're from Zimbabwe. What do you do?
I'm Priscilla Chihota. I am from Zimbabwe. I am representing development aid from people to people. We run a college, Ponesaivan Technical College. As a member of the Humana People to People Association, Ponesaivan is one of the 16 vocational training centers. We are training students in different courses, short and long courses that run between 8 months and 12 months. And one of our best practices is the involvement of students with disabilities so that they are included in training. Of course, not complex disabilities, as it is a new component on what we are doing, but students with mild disabilities. Then we also have promoted the involvement of women in vocational training so that they take courses which are predominantly for men. And we have promoted this by going to counsel with the women's partners, the spouses, their families, so that they are allowed to attend school, and also by bringing to the doorstep sexual reproductive health and rights services, because that is one reason why we sometimes have dropouts for women who are attending the colleges. So our main points are with disability inclusion and using a human rights approach and involving women in vocational training. Thank you.
Big applause. These are, of course, is my microphone still working? Yeah, these are, of course, also issues we have to work with in Europe. Do you say Europe, Zimbabwe, same, or the way disabilities are an issue or the way involvement of women is a difficulty in Zimbabwe is completely different than Europe?
I'm not so much aware of what happens in Europe, but what we are doing in Zimbabwe is somehow informed by what we learn from Europe. So I'm not really sure of what happens here, but truly speaking, we are influenced by what happens here.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Lev Berman, you're from Israel. What do you do?
Hello, hello everybody. I'm from Israel, from Amal School Network. I'm head of entrepreneurship and innovation center in Tel Aviv, one of Tel Aviv schools. And actually our programs is a platform in the schools for education to startups, to entrepreneurship. And our best practice, I think it's to bring our students to do a lot of mistakes because to do some impact, to do startup or initiative, I think it's so difficult, almost impossible. So you really have to find your inner love, inner desire to do it. So, you know, we can teach a lot of skills, and in school it's usually less or more difficult or easy, but to do it in real life, it's beginning, I think, the success point, beginning in your inner awareness and motivation.
Is there a risk that finding companies, being an entrepreneur, is a very elitist thing if we don't think of it from a social inclusion perspective?
Yes, I think in startups, in businesses, initiatives, in different way in academic, it's not about IQ, it's not about your scores. I think we can find people who do serious projects. Probably some of them was very unsuccessful in regular education system. So I believe that what we do, we give equal opportunity to each student who would like to do. Our program is by choice. Students do it. We suggest to each student, but who take it, it's his choice. So we give equal opportunity to develop your life influence ability, I think.
Okay, so if we help people who might want to start a business in a proper way, instead of it only being for the people with a lot of advantage, it can be a driver for social justice, because those who maybe don't fit into regular things, might be fantastic entrepreneurs. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that. Besim Chaya, you are the head of development unit of the tourism school of Tirana in Albania. What do you do?
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to be in front of you today. We are the biggest school of tourism in Albania, and I'm proud to say that the last 10 years have been very good for the vocation and education school and center in Albania. It was the main objective of our government to increase the number of the students, and 2 years ago we joined Vocation and Excellence program, and 1 year before we joined the social inclusion with ITF, and 2 months later the government of Albania in the strategic for the 2 next years, in the main focus was the equality of all inclusion in the vocational school based in gender inclusion, different abilities, and we can say proudly that we have done a lot regarding that. I'm an ex-student of the school, and when I was a student, the number of the girls, unfortunately, in my class was only 3 or 4. Today, in our classroom are 12, 15, and let's say that are equal to the number of boys.
And what was the secret to do that?
Yes, I will explain right now. The good name that our school has in the local community, and I say the strength of our school is in the number of business partnership. We are the school in Albania with the highest number of business partnerships, 260 hotels, bars, restaurants that are collaborating with us. It's, let's say, to be totally fair, it's not only from the school, but as we all know, after COVID, when a lot of business cut off their staffs due to COVID restriction, and it's very difficult to find people, as everywhere in Europe, in this position, like cook, like waiter, like front office, and it became easier for the school to get a place for student internships, and after the internships to get employed.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Enoch Yuma, you're partnership manager at the vocation school in Malawi. What are you working on?
Thank you very much. I'm very excited that I'm here today. Since morning, I've been learning quite a lot. And I think by the end of the day, I'll have a lot of information and ideas that we can implement in Malawi. My name is Enoch Juma. I'm a partnership manager for development aid from People to People DAP, which has a Mikolongwe vocational school in one of the remote districts in Malawi. Of course, we normally talk of inclusive education, and then we are looking at supporting or providing education, vocational skills to persons with disabilities, and then the vulnerable communities, which includes even the communities that are not able to access vocational skills education. And then we look at also developing the infrastructure at our Mikolongwe Vocational School to make sure that everyone can be able to access. And those who cannot access our vocational skills training at our college, our school, then we go and meet with them using our mobile training program. So I think in brief, that's me.
But I've not been to Malawi, but I've been to Uganda. It's so different. Everything is different from Europe. The reasons for social exclusion, the history of the education system, the needs of society. You say, I learned a lot this morning. I'm thinking, what can you learn from Europe that's useful in such a different context?
Yeah, of course, the whole reason why we are here also is to make sure that we are sharing information and knowledge. And then we take the knowledge and practice it in the context of our countries. So, yeah, it might not be as exact as we are getting from here, But we know that the knowledge that we are getting, and also from the meetings, this meeting and previous meetings where we have been sharing ideas, those ideas are the ones that we're implementing. Of course, we are also sharing our experiences.
Yeah,
and
what is one
ideas.
experience or one practice you do that we really have to implement in European coves?
The mobile training.
The what?
Mobile vocational skills training.
What is it?
Yeah, that's now we are taking the vocational skills from the classroom to where there's a need. So if you're in, for example, San Sebastian, and then you have some skills that others who are not here needs the skills, then you have to go and provide the skills in those places.
Well,
so,
we're going to talk a little bit about how digital tools might help with that. We're going to talk that very soon, but we're going to first hear from Marian Memado from Georgia.
Hello, my name is Miriam Memarne. I'm from Georgia, from Kobuleti. I represent Lepel College. New Wave, Achali Talga is a New Georgian name. I am international project coordinator. So what we do in our college about social inclusion is that, first of all, we manage to prepare the school itself physically for disadvantaged people. Like we made panduses, we made lifts. Together with that, we are doing the programs according to the disadvantage of the person. I mean, we are changing the education program according to the person that has to get the education. Also, I have to mention that last year, 20 disadvantaged persons have get the education in our college. It's a quite big figure for a small town like Kobuleti. We have 1,240 students, what means that social implementation in our work is quite high, because we manage to teach people that the Lepel College is not only for technical knowledge, it's also for the future. Because if you get the knowledge in the college, that means that you have a profession. That means that you can have normal job. So that's what we did already, and we are continuing to work on these directions, and we also have 300 trainees together with that 1,200.
So you really try not to fit people that are very different in one system, but build a system around the different people.
Of course,
that sounds wonderful.
for each person.
Okay, wonderful. Yesterday there was a newspaper article in a Dutch newspaper about VAT schools, and there was a teacher who said, for some of my students, it's already a good day if they come to school. Because they have, especially since COVID, they don't have a good home where they come from, they don't have enough money, they have stress, they are still paranoid from the COVID times, and they are afraid of climate change, that they're all going to die in a few years. Basically, so I feel more like a social worker than a teacher, and before I can get any teaching done, I first have to address all these social issues. I see you kind of nodding. Is that also something that you recognize from your countries, that you first, there's so many social problems you have to do first?
I think this is not only seen across schools, but it's seen across the whole world, across all ages. I think we're realizing that as we are entering this new age where we have sustainability issues, where environment is changing, all the issues that we're all discussing, we need to learn to be able to be adaptive and to have inner peace. And how do we teach that in schools? That's also another skill that we need to be teaching our students and also ourselves. Initially, I believe we need to teach ourselves to be able to stay calm and grounded. And these are soft skills that we are all talking about, and they need to come in within the concept of education. So yes, we are seeing it in schools, but we're also seeing it across all ages and all sectors.
Yeah. Princess, some people say before people can learn, they first need to be at ease. That we first need to have the basis in order to have a foundation of maybe some peace in yourself, and then only we can start about teaching. If we teach before that, it's waste of teaching time. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I do agree that peace within is really important, because when it comes to learning, be it vet or any kind of learning, it's all in the state of mind. So by dealing with the mind first, it really helps whoever is coming for training. So in our case, what we do, like I was saying, with women, they do have some gender roles that they are given. They have to take care of the children, they have to be at home and save the husband and do everything. So in order for them to have peace of mind, it means we have to engage their husband, the family who will take care of the child before they come to school and everything. So in doing that, we can't do that alone. Yes, in the college we do have counselors who are para-counselors within the colleges, but we do partner with the Department of Social Development, which can help when we go for counseling at the homes and also with others, so that everyone is at peace of mind, the teacher who is going to accept the student and the student who is coming.
And not just the student, you have to focus on the whole ecosystem around the student and involve them.
Yes.
Melanie, we want to know what do we want to know from the audience?
So we are looking into the future now. So basically, what should we do? How should the future of social inclusion through VET look like?
Okay, and what are the first answers that are coming in?
The first answers that are coming in are also about the fact that, well, the pathways should be flexible and personalized. Also, more teachers with diverse backgrounds and maybe with disabilities themselves should be promoted. And, well, it should be easier for dropouts also to join in again. And VET institutions should not only be viewed as learning spaces, but also as social spaces.
Yeah, okay, well, let's go to some EU, where people from coves, maybe if it's recognizable. I know you're from the EU. Do you recognize the things that were mentioned here, or is the EU facing all different things? And can you stand up, then the camera can see you better.
Hello, I'm Peter Hoekstra from the Netherlands. Yeah, I do recognize it. Can we have the answers again? Because I thought I saw my answer standing there as well.
Yeah, everybody wants to look at you, not at the answers. Can we have the Mentimeter on again? Yeah.
Yes. The VET institutes not only as a learning space, but also social spaces. I think the responsibility, only putting it to the VET, is too a big responsibility. I think the combination of the social spaces outside the VET are also responsible for having a better place for the social inclusion.
And is that because social inclusion is also very important, or because social inclusion and social well-being is a prerequisite for proper learning?
The last one.
The last one, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Can I ask you, how important is social inclusion as a topic for VAT institutions?
Hello everyone, my name is Guy. I'm also a manager and director of COVIS, of Amal network with my colleague Lev. In my opinion, social inclusion is a must as a way to connect between the students, not only when we're talking about VET. So I heard the whole problems that you already made, and I think that it's common for all of us to deal with that. And social inclusion in the future will have to connect between higher and stronger students to a weaker one.
Yeah, okay, well, can you throw the microphone to somewhere on this side? We can hear. Careful, there's a microphone coming. Hi, how important is social inclusion in your work?
Quite a lot. We have a Center of Excellence on Social Inclusion, so basically for us it's very important. I think it's very important because if we want inclusive societies in the future, that has to be inclusive. So it's part of the education of the society. So how it will look like, I think it's a personalized training, because inclusion means dealing with the capabilities of every person. So it's methods on one hand, personalization, and mindsets of the society and the community in that. So it's a cultural shift.
In 20, 30 years from now, is no one talking about this anymore because social inclusion is such a natural thing? All the buses are wheelchair accessible, everyone with a learning disability, we recognize that. You have specialized exams for every different impairment, and digital tools make life accessible for everybody? Or do we have, in 30 years' time, a big divide between the people who understand the digital world and who don't, who have skills and who don't?
It's difficult. What I think is that inclusion is for everybody, not only for people with a specific disadvantage. It's for everybody. So people will be always different. So there will be always room for inclusion, for changing something, to welcome the other who is different from me. So it will be something forever, but it's different if we start changing our mindset, the paradigm of our society.
Yeah. Lev, I spoke to people who said, I understand that schools and vocational institutes have to fix some social problems in the societies, but that's not what we meant for. The government, they should make sure that everybody is included, and then we can provide education. We are not here to fix the failures of society. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would like to add that I like very theory about self-motivation in learning. It's mentioned 3 components that actually bring for inner motivation: ability, autonomy, and belonging. And I will focus on belonging. I think the feeling of belonging is very important component of inclusion, of success, of learning. Let's take example here. Yesterday we come to here, most of us didn't know each other, so we did some connections. It's helped to feel comfortable, to belong. But other side, I think the part of belonging is impact. Did I put some influence here? Did I sit here and share my opinion of where? Did I give some information or take some information? So actually what we are doing, in our center we work a lot with immigrants from Russia, from Ukraine, and it's usually teenagers who come in position, oh, I don't know nothing, I'm so very confused. What we are doing, we say, you are going to change here. In your place, where you're not belonging now, you're going to put something from yourself, to change it. And this is going to bring you to feel belonging.
Okay, belonging, that's a very important. Basim, if we would stop poverty anywhere in the world, would then be social inclusion almost automatically be done, or is then there still a lot of work to be done?
I think that is a lot of things to be done, because also right now that at most we are talking. If before 5 years or 10 years, it was like it doesn't exist, but now we are talking, and more that is talking, more I think that is done. It's more important to change the mentality and to approach with partner that looks in the same direction. For example, if you are accepting new students to your school that are different abilities, and after that you are wondering what I'm doing with him when it's time to go in internship, to make the practice in the business. And you have to make a different approach to find the right partner, so also the guy that has, or the girl that has different abilities need to be integrated and need to make the right practice like his friends. I can share with you an experience with my student some times ago. I'm also the teacher of the restaurant in our school, and during the lesson, one guy with different abilities take the knife and unfortunately damaged his friends. It was a little injury, but it was not normal for the lesson. And what we are going to do right now, because the next year the guy needs to take a new profile in the school. It could be kitchen, it could be a restaurant or front office. And we decided to send in the front office profile, so when we go to the business, when we go to the practice, he can find himself maybe in the back office, not in the front office, but we are not we are allowing to make the practice as all these friends. So it's all to the approach, all to the mentality, all to the willingness, because in the end of the day, we need not only to learn, but we need to inspire. We need to wake up their willingness, because a children of 15 years old is grabbed from the hand from his parent, and they said, you should go in this school. Maybe without willingness, or maybe just because his elder or brother or sister were there. But in the end, you have to inspire them to continue in this road, to love this job, because if it's not loving it,
and that's
it would
something
live.
in the end money can't even buy. Yeah? Inspiration is key. When you look at the digital future, is the digital future the solution to all the social problems or social inequalities, or is it making it even worse?
I think not the solution, but it's helping and making something easier for the learner and for the teachers.
Okay, well, we have some suggestions for you what digital solutions, innovations, and digital tools could do for social innovation. Can we see the Mentimeter? You may rank them on a scale from the most important thing, the highest expectations you have from it, to the lowest. The first one is to provide individual learning with digital tools. Every student can have a learning path specifically made for him or her. Second, free up teacher time for attention. So all these standardized teaching things, we make it digital, so the teacher has much more time left for individual attention for people. Flipping the classroom, fundamentally changing the role of a teacher from someone who sends information to someone who works with students, and the information is a YouTube video. Make education accessible for people with physical impairments. If you can't see well, if you can't hear well, if you're dyslexic, digital tools can make learning tools accessible to you. Is it education more affordable? Digitalization makes it cheaper, perhaps. Accessible for who can't come to school. If you are in a remote community somewhere on a mountaintop and you don't have time or money to go to school, maybe through an iPad you can. Or maybe we forgot something important, you can do other. And we see there's a big competition between individual learning and accessibility who can't come to school as the first things. Enoch, accessibility for who can't come to school, is that an important thing in Malawi?
Yeah, that is very, very important in Malawi. When it comes to digital learning, I think in Malawi, the only challenge that we have is the gadgets themselves. And that becomes a challenge even if you design a very good program. But that is very important because one can be able to learn at his or her own time, and then learning also cannot, because maybe some other people are excluding themselves, maybe due to age. If they are learning through the digital platforms, that is eliminated. You can be able to learn anything. So that's very important aspect. Maybe one of the challenges that can be there is the access to internet, access to the gadgets, which as a government, as the TVET authority, or as COVES, we can lobby the government to make sure that maybe they subsidize some of those areas so that we can make accessibility of digital learning possible. Because if we don't solve the underlying challenges that are affecting digital learning in our countries,
you need a basic
infrastructure development and the gadgets, then we are not solving anything. But that's very important, and it makes a vocational school or vocational training accessible by everyone.
Yeah, okay, so that accessibility is very important. What do you think digitalization has the most benefit for of these things?
For me, for my students, accessibility for who can come to school. But it's very interesting because the digitalization make for a part of my students the education more interesting for them.
More interesting?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Because I found some very interesting application. They maneuver very easy some digital application, and I learn with them. And
So instead of reading a boring book, now it's a game and it's virtual reality.
Yeah.
How does that help social inclusion if it's more fun and interesting to do?
Because there are many kids, they don't came every day at school because they have specially programs for recuperation or for individual learning. But in the same time, they want to be with their colleagues. So blended learning or hybrid education using digital tools, it's very
And
useful.
especially the students who would drop out because they find school so boring,
Yeah.
they might be included now. Okay, wonderful. May I ask you, what do you expect from digital learning tools?
May I see the...
Can we get the suggestions back?
Yeah, the suggestions back, please.
And can you stand up, then we can see you.
Okay. Technology. Let's see that, no, in my opinion, I would say that I voted for more individual learning, as the teachers, the trainers who spoke before me was saying, this is definitely a plus. And it is usually digital technologies are more adaptive, let's say, and so that's something very useful for inclusion as well.
It can adapt much faster to different needs than perhaps a teacher who has 30 kids to watch who are all different. Yeah, okay, faster adaptation. Okay, thank you very much. Have we, Lida?
Okay, I just wanted to say 2 words because of this technology and innovation.
Because you are the designer of the session, we have to say that.
Yes, we work together, but it's very emotional because with some of the members we meet for the first time. And that is about empathy and what we have done through these 3 years. And innovation. When we talk of innovation, we are talking of the teaching and learning, innovative teaching and learning. And in all the online events that we have done, because we have met very often, because it's all about peer learning and exchanging, how education and training systems can respond to these needs in different socio-economic contexts. We are talking of different continents, we are talking of different countries, being it size, being it development, being it also the approaches and what the education system is. And then we understood that it's this innovation in people and in teams and the communities, and they have shown, I'm emotional because we have been through, they were bringing 200 students. They were bringing the crowds on the line, all the parents, they will bring in the business, they will bring in the national authorities, especially all the others, but especially the partners from Malawi and Zimbabwe. So the focus of ours is not what we do for the excluded, what we do not to have any excluded. And today we have the philosophy, you are included, tomorrow you can be excluded. And COVID showed us, but not only COVID. So each of us is very vulnerable if we are not supported properly. And we have learned a lot from each other because also we have very high-tech partners. And technology, as it was mentioned, has shown, also in our experience and peer learning, that it has brought also big changes in how we teach and learn and how we react. So I want to congratulate all the members and the ones that have come from very far and very active, but also we are following, and we want to thank the Spanish colleagues because tomorrow we have face-to-face the whole day peer learning. And we are staying here to write all what we have learned so far and how we can bring this to the policymakers. Because all this is done also with the agreement of the countries that are participating in the government.
Okay, well, wonderful. Thank you so much. Miriam, this important notice. When we talk about social inclusion, we shouldn't talk about including those that are excluded, but be inclusive to all, because tomorrow we could be the one excluded. How is this, what is are the consequences of that different mindset when we talk about inclusion?
Interesting question. For the first of all, social inclusion means that we have to give correct information to people to let them understand what we are doing, first of all. And in this, we have a great support of Ministry of Education, first of all, and our foreign partners. And I haven't mentioned when I was speaking that last year, during the COVID, we managed to continue learning with 700 students, non-stop, online. It is great. It is great because it's a big figure.
And I heard schools saying COVID was horrible, but it was also good in a way because we had to rethink education. And for some students, for those who got too much impulse of the day, sitting at home was kind of good. We got much more attention for different needs of different students. Do you recognize that from your times?
We've been a proponent of using digital technologies to enhance learning and to make it accessible across all economic and social groups. So COVID was a wonderful testing ground, but we shouldn't be discouraged by some of the negativity that we received because it happened so abruptly. It showed to us that certain students with certain learning disabilities or personal needs were able to benefit from the fact that they were able to manage their time online and do it from home. And also those students who had been taught how to learn digitally, I think we need to underline that. You know, you don't just learn digitally unless you've been taught how to do so. And I think this should be one of the other core skills that education needs to provide from a young age. And also it needs to be, teachers need to be trained accordingly. So yes, we saw the benefits of this, but we also saw the disadvantages that came with it.
Yeah, there's lots of disadvantages. Well, let's keep the good things, let's get rid of the bad things, and then we get the best thing of this. I want to thank you so much for being here. I wish you a wonderful day tomorrow with all the peer learning you're going to do. I hope also we're going to learn a lot as Europe from the rest of the world. What you can do, and we can share our ideas with you, and maybe we have global centers of vocational excellence on any topic very soon. I want to thank you very much. You get a big round of applause. And you, I want to invite for a, you're going to get a, oh yeah, you have to stay for a group picture. We're going to take a group picture and you're going to get a coffee break of 30 minutes and then we're going to talk about the skills for the green economy and a spectacular closing. Enjoy your coffee. Yeah, come here for a, oh, Priscilla, also come for you have to come for a group picture. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you had some good coffee. We have the last session will only take till about 8 o'clock. No more. No, I'm kidding. We have about 1 more hour to go, and then we'll do the closing, where we're going to see for the last 2 days the cartoonists have been with us, and here in the plenary sessions, also in the other sessions. We're going to see what their conclusions of the past 2 days have been. Also, I can imagine you're slightly tired and probably on your way to the airport, but we have 2 interesting things still to do. We're going to talk about how we can be ready for the green and digital transition, and also how we can collaborate with universities. So please take a seat, because we're first going to talk about vocational excellence for the green and digital transition. And we're going to do it with, you already saw her before, Chiara Riondino, and further Birgit Arends, Bojan Jovanovski, and Ralf Hippe. Yeah. May I ask you to one of these 2 chairs? Yeah. Yeah, you take one step here. Yeah. Melanie, what do we want to know from our audience?
We have a question on what does the digital and green transition mean in practice for individuals and for the companies? So there's a word cloud that you see appearing, and you are all invited to join the Mentimeter and to put in your thoughts.
Yeah, so the first was coming in collaboration and cooperation, of course, opportunities, of course, but also modern OCC standards, clean energy, and new challenges with RRF. So already a lot of abbreviations are coming on the screen that I have no clue what they mean. Probably at the end of this session we will know. First of all, we're going to ask Chiara again to give a little introduction of what we mean by this, and then we're going to hear from the 3 of you how you are working on this, and what companies expect from FED. Chiara, may I invite you to introduce what the Commission is doing?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to do some institutional promotion. I will start with a big policy package that we adopted in June. To be more specific, the Council adopted 4 Council recommendations that are very important for the green and the digital transition. The first one that I want to talk to you about is the Council recommendation on fair transitions in the labor market. This really looks at how we can make sure that people benefit from these transitions, because we are all quite scared, and in some cases rightly so, because there is going to be a big transformation if we want to reach our climate goals. So people will have to change the way they work. Sometimes they will also need to change their jobs. But there are also plenty of opportunities that are opening up. And we want to make sure that the green and the digital transitions are really something that is good and fair. Because as our Vice President Timmermans says, the transition will be just, or there will be just no transition. So this is a very important Council recommendations, which has a policy package on skills, on activation in the labor market. Another Council recommendation that looks more at education and training, so it's very interesting for all of us here, looks at learning for sustainability, and is associated to what we call green comp, the competence the competence frameworks for skills for the green transition. These are more transversal kind of competencies that we hope that will be really introduced in all schools at all levels. Then there are 2 other recommendations that are 2 instruments that are more linked to the individual and how we can help them learn. And there are the recommendations on individual learning accounts to make people more responsible and in charge of their own choices for training and upskilling and reskilling, and the one on micro-credentials, which is, of course, something that is not new, micro-credentials, especially after COVID, and the way we have started learning in a more digital and in little bits way. Micro-credentials are a way to certify, to acquire, first of all, and then certify very specific and targeted skills. But okay, enough for the spot. Just let me tell you, please help us implement this important policy package, because we can all benefit from it, and especially people can benefit from it. And then let's go back to centers of vocational excellence and what they do for the green and the digital transitions. I really challenge you to tell me that you have not been impressed by what you have seen in your visit today and yesterday. This immersive kind of learning, the possibility of working on a smart desk and sending your work to the wall, to Australia, to another room in the building or in another school. This is really incredible. And moving furniture and floor that can understand if you're falling down and you need help because you're not responsive. But one thing that really struck me of all this incredible virtual reality and amazing thing was the possibility that you had to write virtually everywhere. You could write on the walls, on the table, on the doors. And this also tells me, yes, we need innovation, we need technology, but at the end of the day, we also need creativity, we also need the human element, and it will always be the center and what drives the technology. But codes are a natural example of developing skills that are needed for the transition, because they are inherently linked to the industry, to companies, and companies are trying to innovate, are trying to find new ways to do things in a more sustainable way, in a way that saves energy, and COVES are really helping with this. Another thing that we do at EU level is the Pact for Skills. You may have heard about it. We have an industrial strategy, the European industrial strategy, with 14 industrial ecosystems, and we are supporting large-scale partnerships that bring together all the players in each of these ecosystems to develop the skills they need. And so we have big companies, small companies, training providers, social partners. And one example that I will give you is the digital large-scale partnership, because that, of course, focuses specifically on this industry and looks at shortage of ICT specialists, the gender imbalance in ICT, how can we attract more women, etc. But of course, digital skills and green skills are not specific to one ecosystem. All ecosystems are now moving towards the transition. And then another, of course, initiative that we have is the European Alliance for Apprenticeships, that also is starting more and more to look at the green and digital transition. And since it has been launched, we already have over 1 million offers of apprenticeships. So, of course, this is over a number of years, but we want to grow more and more. And then I will just conclude by saying, as it has been already said before, that there is a lot of money available at EU level. And you know about the Recovery and Resilience Facility. It has a firepower of over 700 billion euro. 700 billion euro. And of course, it's not only for skills, it's to relaunch the economy, to make us more resilient, to go towards the transition. But we can see, and we're very happy to see, that in the plans that have been endorsed, 20% of the expenditure and the funding that goes into social aspect is for employment and skills. So you have heard other examples. They're using EU money. Make sure that you also do it, and we hope that this is, again, another way that we can learn from each other. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And always, yeah, a big round of applause. And not only because you announced us a lot of money, but also because you announced some really great initiatives. We have with me Birgit Adentur, Senior Project Officer at Eurochambers. What is Eurochambers?
Well, Eurochambers is the Association of European Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and as such, we cover all of Europe with 45 national and also transnational chamber associations, meaning that we go beyond the EU 27 and also reach out further east and south.
Yeah, and all the Chambers of Commerce. And you are working on the European Learning Experience Platform.
Yes.
What does that do?
Well, it's one of the COVE projects that was approved after last year's call. And we are actually going to address some of the issues that Chiara mentioned right now, working on artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and also social innovation, bringing those concepts closer to businesses for them to learn how they can use them, and at the same time developing training modules for the companies as well as their staff, so that they can deal with the changes that are involved in adapting this kind of technologies.
The Dutch government had a research done how digitally prepared small and medium enterprises are. They on average score a 3 to 4 on a ladder of 10, and 10 is meeting the necessities. So then you're not a tech expert, then you're not going to be left out. Should we be a little bit worried of how fast small and medium enterprises are adapting?
Well, we need to see what their needs are. And with the recent survey that we did with our members and asking for the needs of businesses, they said, yes, we have invested heavily in the last 2 years for the digital transformation because COVID obliged us to, but we are still continuing because we are aware. But we should not forget the current environment that we are working in. And as things are today, we released the results of our annual economic survey. This year is gathering the responses from over 40,000 businesses across Europe, and the situation does not look good for next year. Not good in terms of business confidence, that means how businesses view the overall business environment, but neither for employment.
Okay, so this whole talking about always labor shortages everywhere, we still have labor shortages in the future, but it might be much less than we see now.
Well, no, you can't see it like this. The labor shortages persist because at the same time as we ask the businesses what their business forecasts are for next year, we ask them what are the biggest challenges you are facing right now. And number one, and this will be a surprise to nobody, is energy prices and raw materials costs. And number two, and this has been in the top 3 for the last 6 to 7 years, is skills mismatches and labor shortages. So, and even during the COVID period, we saw that labor shortages were not solved or that they didn't decrease because there was short-term labor or there was unemployment due to the measures that were taken.
And they are still transitioning themselves. Do they know what skills they require in the future or the near future?
Well, there we have an issue, because if we speak typically about small and medium-sized enterprises, if they don't really know how they can use or how new technologies like virtual reality or artificial intelligence can benefit their businesses, they don't really know either what learning curve they need to engage to. The first thing that they look at is, okay, if I want to modernize, if I want to change my business model, what will it cost me? And there is where the whole work starts. Seeing, okay, what do I need to invest, first of all, in equipment? What do I need to change? And then comes also the learning aspect. Right.
So far, especially most places, businesses look at vet providers as providers of skilled laborers. You put in a coin and clunk, you get a skilled laborer. Now we're talking much more of also vets sharing knowledge and sharing innovation and being a center where they can also learn how to innovate. Is that really what they expect of the vet sector?
Well, it's a question of changing the mindset and actually bringing together the businesses, the vet centers, and also digital innovation hubs, like what we have foreseen in ULAB, is for us going into the right direction so that they can actually exchange with each other and also learn from each other.
Okay, wonderful. Bojan Javonovski, you're of Greenovet. What is Greenovet?
Well, Greenovet is one of the COVES, so it's a project in the Erasmus Plus Centers of Vocational Excellence. It was one of the pilot projects started in 2020. It's focused on green innovation. And in the frame of the project, we are establishing, or we established in the meantime, 4 centers of vocational excellence. One in Styria in Austria, where I come from FH. Another one in Vasa in Finland, in Leiria in Portugal, and in Skopje in North Macedonia.
Yeah. And you are working on transversal green skills. What do you mean by that?
Well, we actually work on both transversal and sectoral skills. When we talk about transversal skills, we talk about the green skills that are needed across all professions and even in daily life of all citizens of European Union and beyond.
When I think about digital skills, they are completely different than analog skills because it's a different world. But if I'm working on a windmill or a hydrogen plant, it's a machine just as an oil plant was. Are green skills so different from not green skills?
If you put it that way, no, skills are skills. But what we are trying to focus on is to forecast the expected future skills for the green transition and to proactively design curricula and systems for creating those skills on time when we need them.
Okay. Do people need to know a lot about greening and how the environment works? Or is it just, well, you used to buy a car with a diesel engine, now you buy one with an electric engine, you don't need to know so much about sustainability per se? Or should we all start to learn and think in a sustainable manner?
So back to the transversal skill that I mentioned are needed for everyone for private and professional life. Well, it's very important that we raise this awareness of the wider public regarding the importance of the environment and preserving of the environment, which we are already doing very well now. But the challenge that we have is to explain to people how they can contribute. Because one of the biggest challenges is that we all agree that this green transition and development of green skills is crucial for EU, for Europe as a continent, and for its citizens. But the challenge is that many people say, yeah, this is not applicable for me. I'm recycling, or at my work as a company, we're good, we're better than the others. So we cannot do much. We have a person that is analyzing that, we're improving every year a little bit, and that's it.
Involvement and feeling of belonging is also crucial here.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Ralf Hippe, you are from CEDEFOP. What do you do?
Yes, CEDEFOP is the European Center for the Development of Vocational Training, and we support the implementation of policies, of European policies in the member states, together with the European Commission, the member states, and the social partners.
Okay, and are the member states really looking forward to your support, or do you really have to go door to door and get some attention from them?
No, we all work very collaboratively so that we can improve the digital and green skills together.
Yeah, and do you see big differences between member states?
Yes, there are important differences in the digital and in the green skills. Let's say we have at the European level also different digital skills indicators. And recently at CEDEFOP we have collected also the digital and green skills initiatives in all member states and also Norway and Iceland through our referred partners, which provides us already information on what is being done on the professional development of teachers and trainers, who are the ones who teach these skills, so they need to be trained. And so we now know more about what are the different offers of trainings, what are the different tools, and the different theoretical programs.
And in general, is it a positive perspective, or is it still a lot of work to be done?
Both at the same time, obviously. So we see that over the last few years, there have been many more initiatives, obviously also boosted by the COVID pandemic when it comes to digital skills. But obviously, also many teachers still report that they need more support, that they're still not so aware of what they could do to make the best use of digital technology, so more needs to be done. But at least this is a positive aspect. And on green skills, we see that this is a sector where also still more can be done, as we have identified fewer sectors so far.
Okay. Well, this is a nice bridge to the next question I want to ask the audience. Melanie?
Yes, we have asked the audience whether green skills should be universal or whether they should be adapted to local needs.
Ooh, and most people say they should be kind of adapted to local needs. Do you agree? Should green skills be adapted to local needs, or is a windmill in Norway the same as a windmill in Greece?
I think it should be both universal and also adapted to local needs, because states are different, and also regional needs based to sector needs should be.
Okay, so we should have a global perspective, but also have some couleur locale at the local level. I see you nodding. Is that the way forward?
I think it must, if it's be 100%, we must emphasize 60 or 70% to the local needs and 30% for the universal needs. It's a balance.
Okay, is someone completely disagreeing with these numbers and say, oh, it's 100% on one side or the other side? Lila, you just mentioned digitalization before. Is digitalization in Malawi something completely different than digitalization in Slovenia?
No, we can't say that it's different. I mean, even if there are different providers, but it's the same tool, but used in different ways and according to the needs of the users and the context.
And before, if I was working as a farmer in Malawi, maybe it was completely different than what I was doing in Slovenia. Now everything is more digital. Will we see that skills are much more the same around the globe?
It's hard to say that they are the same. The needs are not the same, but the skills, yes, can be the same, but then there needs the skills to be adapted to the context of, because the same agriculture in Malawi is not the same as the agricultural needs in Slovenia.
Yes, so programming language are the same everywhere, but people are still different everywhere. Yeah, I saw, you wanted to say something.
Just because you asked.
Can you stand up, please, for us?
Margarida Segar from Portugal. Green skills should be universal. Green skills are special when we are in transition period. They are the same in Malawi than in Mozambique, than in Portugal, and then, of course, we need to do some adaptation concerning the sectors. Following your example before about hydrogen, if we are an end user, it doesn't matter if I have a refrigerator or something, hydrogen or green or electricity, but if I am a producer, if I am a distributor, an installer, it's absolutely different to have on hydrogen than to have on gas, on electricity. And we need to have it certifications and international certifications on the green.
So yeah, maybe what skills we focus on is very different per country, but the skills itself are the same everywhere, and they are, yeah, and making it something, a hydrogen thing is fundamentally different than some carbon fuel things. Chiara, do you agree? It's mostly, it's very the same everywhere, but some local adaptation, or no, it's 100% the same everywhere, just we choose different skills in different places?
Well, first of all, there are no green skills. Like you said, it doesn't exist. It's not like digital. We are trying to make the parallel because we know what digital skills are and we have been talking about it for a long time and we can really define them. It's not the same for green, for the green transition. So we call it skills for the green transition. Skills can be brown, can be green, but it depends on the context. So there is some kind of cross-cutting and universal kind of element. For example, we really now have to have things that are green by design. When you start a product, you have to know how the life cycle of the product will be. If you can repair it, how you can recycle it, how it will degrade into the environment. So this is something that has to be learned. But it's a combination of different skills that make the final product or the process green. So they are both. They have to be universal because there are some kind of concepts that we have to all implement, but they're also specific. And just one concrete example, I want to refer to Eurochambers because they have a survey that shows that one of the key shortages for the green transition is administrative and compliance knowledge, how to apply all the new regulations. And who would have thought those are green skills? But those are.
Green compliance, yeah, that's also a skill we need. To wrap up this session, we probably all know we need the green and digital skills, and they're very important, and we all agree that we should be doing it, but doing it might be maybe more difficult than we think. So what are the biggest challenges we are facing? Birgit, what would you say? What are the biggest challenges you see ahead that we need to overcome to get there?
Well, it's actually one of the elements that Chiara just mentioned. Our members stated that red tape is a very big obstacle to getting to really the digitalization process. And when it comes to greening the economy and also digitalization, members complain that, okay, right now the lack of funds and also lack of information about availability of funding are stumbling stones for them.
But companies always say we want less regulation, but then they're not always doing the right things.
Yes, but as she said, with the other survey that we did with our members, we found out right now when you speak about greening the economy, you have first of all the EU level, then everything that is proposed, decided at EU level goes down to the national level. And I'm sorry if I'm critical, but the national governments, they like to put their own points and commas and add a sentence here, a regulation or a stipulation there. So instead of having 5 points that companies would need to observe, when they look strictly at what has been done at European level, they end up with 7, 8, 9, or 10. So it becomes very complicated for them.
Okay,
so that's why we speak about red tape in that case.
Red tape, else they have to spend too much time on the administration.
And then as a second most important barrier is the shortage of skilled workforce. I mentioned businesses need to invest not only into equipment but also into people. Because when you speak about green transition as well as digitalization, they need to say, okay, what do we need to do and who can help me with that?
Yeah, okay, so we need to keep investing in that. Yeah, Ralph, what do you see as the biggest obstacle?
Yes, so still digital infrastructure in schools needs improvement. And the teachers and trainers still need further support in order to know what are the best methods. But one key thing here is particular that digital skills are not constant. They are evolving, and everything is evolving very fast. So what you learned yesterday, tomorrow is already obsolete, or at least not anymore at the newest knowledge. So this is a very important challenge, that everybody stays up to date to the current knowledge.
Stay up to date and constantly changing. Yeah, Bojan. What is the biggest obstacle we have to get over?
Well, I would say that the biggest obstacle is that in the same time we have to develop these transversal skills and the specific skills, meaning that we need to teach teachers and professionals to use skills in which they do not even have the general knowledge, or some of them even do not believe that we really need them. So in our opinion, what we have to do immediately is to start working a lot with teachers, especially at what we call in Greenovet brain greening, which means not so much on knowledge, but more on their attitudes and beliefs, to make this visible in the education system, to make it visible in the public discourse, and of course to continue with development of programs and to embed green skills in the curricula overall, because one course in any level of education is not enough. It would give us some tools how to calculate or how to understand specific green influence, but what we need is changing of the attitude, and we need to really embed it throughout the educational system.
No proper skills without a proper attitude. Okay, Melanie, what are people saying?
The answers on the Mentimeter are very much in line with what has been said. So basically to identify the skills needed, to be in touch with the companies, to know about their needs, but then also to qualify the teachers. And it has been said that sometimes legal regulations and bureaucracy is way too heavy. So in order to facilitate changes fast, bureaucracy needs to be lowered a bit.
Okay, well, people agree with you a lot. Thank you so much. A big round of applause for Chiara Riondino, Birgit Arends, Bojan Jovanovski, and Ralf Hippe. Thank you so much. Yeah, and then the last topic we have to discuss before we can go to the closure is our relationship with universities. Because, of course, universities think they're super excellent and way above the VET sector, but maybe they're also really wanting to cooperate with us. For that, we're going to talk with John Edwards, John Altuna Irola, and Slavka Tsavanova. Can I invite you? Welcome. Yeah, if the three of you can find a chair there. Yeah, Melanie, we're first going to ask, before we get to you, we're first going to ask the audience a little bit how they look at universities. Can we get the Mentimeter on screen? And the question is, our VET institution, or institution in my country, cooperates with universities, and you can rank this on a scale from they're total strangers until we're happy campers together. How much you work on educational innovation, on flexible learning pathways, so you can go from VET to university and maybe back, sharing applied research or doing applied research together, sharing facilities and staff. Maybe you have the same building, maybe a teacher does one day in the VET, one day in university, working together on lifelong learning and on these regional specialization strategies, are VET and universities working together in what should we be doing in this region. Well, these aren't the best figures we have ever seen. So hopefully after today's they will go a bit up. John Edwards, you're Secretary General of the European Association of Institutions in Higher Education. Urasje? Urasje. Okay. Yeah, how do you see the relationship between universities and VET providers?
I think...
there's a microphone for you. Yeah.
Well, first of all, the boundaries between what is a university and what is a VET centre are increasingly blurred. And professional higher education is essentially VET at EQL levels 5 to 8. So, of course, there are national legislation, national realities on how these are governed, but there's a large overlap. It depends on whether it's a binary system or a non-binary system, as opposed as to how and who delivers it. But there's a blurring of the boundaries, and I think strategically countries need to see what they're doing, what they're good at, what they're good for, not just about strict old divisions between higher education and VET.
Some people in the Netherlands, we have these universities of applied sciences. They're really kind of in the middle. Some people complain they really try to be universities and do much more theoretical research. And they, should you say, stay in your lane?
Yes, it's a mistake to try and become a university, because you'll go from being a top-class university of applied science to be a second-class university. So yeah, it's a mistake, and we don't encourage our members to do that.
What can universities learn from all the developments in VET education?
Look, we're talking about, I think, what I understood the panel on the alliances, European University Alliances and the Centre of Vocational Excellence. And there are similarities, but there are differences. And one of the differences is that the COVES involve stakeholders in the alliances. The European universities don't. And that's what the universities can learn from the Centre of Vocational Excellence, that they are obliged to work with companies. And I think we need that level of obligation, otherwise it won't happen naturally.
Yeah. Okay, John Antuna Iraola, you're the academic vice rector of Mondragon Universiteita. Yeah, what do you try to achieve with this initiative, and also how do you see your relationship with the VET sector?
Well, it's probably my position as a university here is quite a complicated one. I'm afraid I'm bringing here a positive attitude and a positive approach to the collaboration between professional VET and universities. In fact, I'm talking about cross boundaries. I think one of the main challenges for us is to foster and facilitate cross-boundary regulations and policies which affect universities and VET. I think there are common grounds where VET and universities can fit together. We have dual education, we have recognition of prior learning, lifelong learning, and I think we sometimes, most of the times, find ourselves in confronting situations towards different regulations at university and vocational training. And in particular, in institutions like ours and some institutions who are really cross-boundary institutions where we have university studies and also higher vocational education and training, we are conflicting regulations in that area. But I think there are good possibilities. We are now leading one of the 4 latest selected European University Alliances, EU for Dual. It's a dual that has the aim to create the first European dual university. And the fact that we are 9 partners, 9 of these partners, three of these partners offer not just university studies, but vocational education and training. And the fact that 2 of them are already incorporated in COVIS. So that's an example on how COVIS and university alliances can collaborate.
Yeah. Thank you. Slavka Savanova, you're project coordinator of ECOVEM from the Technical University of Sofia. What is ECOVEM?
This is a European Center of Vocational Excellence in Microelectronics. Microelectronics is everything without chips, no digitalization, no green, no robotization. So, yeah, this is a project in which we I'm not sure we are trying. I think we succeed already to create an ecosystem. We work on courses from level 3 to level 8, even PhDs. What is the link between why ecosystem? It's not only VAT providers at lower levels, higher education or even doctorate, but also we work together with the industry, not only for skill definition. We are also active in Pact for Skills, for Chips for Europe. We collaborate with industry. We develop courses in collaboration with industry. They provide examples, they provide videos, they provide projects, they deliver training. What is also with social partners as well? I think the key, something else as well. Why, for me, there is no contradiction. We don't compete with VAT. There is, VAT could be considered before higher education, but nowadays we need for sure lifelong learning, mostly microelectronics and other applications of microelectronics, I would say digitalization and all the rest. So even engineer, even a doctor in microelectronics must continue learning. He, she has to. So the VAT continues after the higher education. This is the long process.
I understand the ecosystem. We all need to work together. But if I look in a VET center, I am a student. I enroll in a very practical course there. How am I going to see anything from the university? John?
I mean, I can give you an example of that. You
have to click the microphone a little bit more.
To illustrate it. And I've just got back from Canada with some of my colleagues from UASHI, where we studied the colleges and institutes there. And in one of them in Toronto, they have the largest dentist in North America, dental practice in North America. A lot of dental chairs, it's scary if you don't like dentists. But what they're saying is the dentists and the technicians need to learn from each other. You can't see each one in isolation. So they bring the dentists in from the University of Toronto into the college to work with the dental technicians. And they also provide dental services to those who can't afford it as well. And so I think that type of learning is necessary. You can't do a good job as a dental technician if you don't know what the dentist is doing. So if I was a VAT student, I would want to work with the dentist in order to be a good dental technician.
Okay, then it's 5 o'clock, I'm done with school for today. Yeah. I want to go drink a beer. If I'm a university student, I can go to my fraternity. VET students are not allowed in there often. Or I want to go to a bar that has a special student night. With my university pass, I'm granted access. But if I have my VAT school pass, then I'm not being allowed because I'm not a student. Is it important that we also solve that barrier if we want them to work together? Yeah, Slavka, I see you nodding.
Absolutely, this is discrimination. So we all are students. So yeah.
Okay. But apart from being morally wrong, is it also crucial if you want these levels to working together and these different specialties to work together that they also meet at night over a beer?
It is. I think John said already there are a lot of universities that they have colleges. They have VAT schools at the university. At my university as well, we have teachers, professors teaching at the VAT school at level 4, for example. And there is no problem.
Okay. So we need to meet each other as well. Well, then the last question we want to ask you in this session is, what are some advice when you want to work with, well, we first thought of writing the dark side, but let's call it the other side. What are your suggestions? What is a good way to get this conversation, get this cooperation, and get this collaboration going between universities and VET centers? It's a question also for you in the Mentimeter. Who has some good experience of working with a university or working with a vocational center? You, sir? I come to you and then I come to you. What is the secret to your collaboration?
Well, there are some enterprises that have their own academies, and they can call both.
Ah, so they have their own. That really works. Their own academy. They can both the university and the VET center.
And they do very good jobs.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks a lot. I saw, I first come to you, then I go to you. I saw you have good experience. What is the secret to it?
Yeah, hi, I'm Piggy Manjurato and I'm representing Acme International and Metropolitan College from Athens, Greece. So what I have to say, it's not that there are only VATs and only colleges. Both of them, they can combine. They can combine innovation, they can combine staff, they can combine research. And our paradigm from Athens, from Greece, is that we have students of VAT that slowly are engaging to college studies because they go the first 2 years, they see the study that they like, they see all the competencies, all the technical things, and then they want to proceed to a higher level of studies. And we incorporate them at the 3rd year of studies as a top-up student, so they don't lose 2 years in the VAT, they gain the 2 years in VAT, and then they can proceed at the top-up level of the 3rd or 4th year of studies and get a BA or a master or a PhD degree. So my position is that we don't have only VATs, we don't have colleges, we don't have universities, we can have both of them. And a student can get a serious advantage by going first into the VAT, get a very strong technical base, and then easily can understand if he wants to do that profession and move along to a higher level of academic study.
Oh, but some people say we shouldn't have too many more people to higher levels. We should be more proud of VAT and maybe have more people who want to go to university and bring them to a vet instead of the other way around.
Yeah, I don't see the reason why. I mean, for me, it's even better a student to have a very strong technical beginning, so he can realize from the beginning if he's good enough and if he likes what he's doing. If he's really strong, really serious, and really committed that this is the job, this is the profession that he wants to go, then he can easily go around and include and expand his academic horizons.
Okay.
I think the other way around.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Thanks. I saw you over there. Oh, ooh. Yeah, ooh, that's a good
Here I
skills.
am. I'm Marek from the University Management, a small university in Poland. And the experience that I have is that, first of all, projects like COVA projects really help universities because they are involved in something new on several levels. Also connecting with people. Well, there was this question there. What's the success story in a way? I mean, for universities to join companies and so on. And the answer to this is you have to get out of the box. So me, myself, being in university management, well, I do a lot of stuff like that. So the reason we're successful is that it's the university going out to the business, to the people, to vets, to discuss things. And also, this means that, well, we are not in the box like, you know, that top level, that we are not, you know, achievable, we are not approachable, so to speak. But we are there and we're open to cooperation. And I think that because we are a small university, it's much easier, we're more flexible. But this is a lesson to be learned by also by big universities. They shouldn't wait, they should come out, and this will work the other way around as well.
Go out in the big, big world and discover. Oh, we have a lot of more hands. We have 2 more and then we're going to move on. Oh, what is your secret?
I'm Victor from Romania. We cooperate a lot with universities. They provide summer schools for vet students. They provide short-term courses for teachers and students as well, and they are open to international vet students as well. But I don't want to be disrespectful, but it feels like in most of the cases, at least from my experience, universities are mostly interested in attracting students. So they are interested in recruitment. It's not a bad thing, but when your motivation comes only from this, from recruitment, it's maybe not enough.
Sometimes they need the proper motivation. Okay, can we have one last comment here?
Thank you. I wanted to share one of very good practice that we have in Campus des Métiers in France, as it's part of the governance, the participation of universities and of VET institutions. We have an example in the south of France, whereas engineer school and a professional school, a vocational school, work together in several academic projects, like engineers and or technical operators work together in academic projects. So this is how we can have like a diversity of cultural backgrounds in the same academic projects. So it's part of the governance of campuses, and that has worked very well. We have this campus, this example. So
we've got some good examples. Yeah, John, universities are sometimes have a bit of fright of going out in the big angry world, and maybe are mostly in recruiting and not.
Yeah, well, I mean, it goes both ways. I go back to the Canada example. The colleges there describe themselves as the finishing school of universities, because university graduates can't find a job. They go back to the college to get a job after the degree. So, you know, it works both ways. But I would like to just say one thing as a very blatant bit of publicity for UASHI. If you want to know how to join up HE and VET, you join UASHI. We bridge the gap between HE and VET. We have members both involved in the European University Alliances and the Centres of Vocational Excellence. And, you know, join us. You can become associate members if you're not an HEI. You can become an associate member. We want to work with you. We want to be open to VET. That's all.
Hopefully after the closing session, people will jump on you a lot. Melanie, what are people saying as a suggestion for closing the gap and working together?
Well, the best answer that I read was start a cove. So that's, I think, a great one. And, well, basically to engage on concrete projects together, to find concrete actions, and to meet on eye level, to find a common language, to offer shared courses, and also to share facilities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And also a big round of applause to John Edwards, John Altuneirola, and Slavka Savanova. Thank you so much. Yeah, and before we're going to go to the closing session, we're going to have a little look back on what you've been doing the past 2 days. I'm not going to do that, but for that I'm going to have Javier Martin. Javier, can I get you here? Yeah, because for the last 2 days, Javier and his colleagues have been sitting in the back, drawing here in the plenary, but also in some of the other sessions. Javier, what are you going to show us?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. As you have seen, me and my colleagues have been like drawing and taking visual notes, right? Somehow to summarize all the key information and knowledge that has been shared in these 2 days. So my objective for the next few minutes is going to be somehow highlight the main learnings or the key learnings that you shared in yesterday afternoon sessions, okay, in the parallel sessions. So you might miss some of the information from other rooms. So here is some of the summary for it. So to start from the beginning, right? We are all looking for sustainability in all in the more broad name, let's say, of the name. So sustainability for the planet, for the society, and also for the system, right? And we have a big problem in this time, which is the lack of workforce. And this is a question that also has been questioned this afternoon. That is, how are we going to adapt our models in order to include all the students and not to leave anyone behind, right? So as we also have seen here, generating somehow ecosystem and putting the students in the middle and generating collaboration with all the stakeholders around is one of the key strategies that we should be working on in order to or not to leave anyone behind. Secondly, we are training students, or you are training students for the unknown, right? For I don't know what's going to be the next technology appearing in the market. I don't know what's going to be the next crisis appearing in our lives, but we have to be ready for that, right? And as it is also mentioned this afternoon, soft skills are totally needed for that, right? Are needed for today, but also for the future. So here are a few of them that will help our students to better adapt to the future. But not only we have to apply or amplify the soft skills, but also we have to go deep in the specialization, right? we need to somehow generate global strategies in order to align research, innovation, with also digitalization. We've seen today the green economy as well, the skill development, and also, well, at least at the end, we have to look for the growth and the competitiveness of the companies, of the market, and of the systems. So these COBIS projects are some of the solutions, right? Together with other organizations, you are able to co-create the future, and here are some key success factors for different kind of collaboration. For example, the public and private partnerships has, well, there are some key success factors identified for this kind of collaborations, such as the communication in all levels, and to be clear of all the responsibilities and the tasks that anyone has to do. Sharing knowledge and learning from each other is another key important message. Also aligning both short-term and long-term vision in order to make all the actions work and be sustainable for the future. And well, the empathy, understanding each other, understanding our motivation, understanding our drivers, and trust, and be confident with all the collaborators is another part of the solution. We've seen here many coffee times, so also the power of the coffee is one of the important message that I wanna share. Okay. Another room was tackling or focusing also in the Erasmus project, right? The Erasmus Plus project. There are many, as we see before, many millions of euros invested in this kind of projects. So also we have to apply for that investment, and we can find the award criteria for this kind of project. And this Erasmus, let's say, experiences, the mobility or the international mobility experiences are also good for our students. They are life-changing. I don't know if you have had these kind of experiences, and they somehow they change our lives, right? So they give us opportunities to grow, to develop ourselves, also to understand culture differences, and learn and exchange knowledge with others. So for that, we need to collaborate and partner with other centers, with other organizations in order to improve student experiences. And as part of that collaboration, or an example of those collaborations, was shared in the room number 2, where they created a field where they connect industry, they connect the education field, and they generate projects or real projects. They work on real projects, both students, teachers, and workers together. They share knowledge, they solve problems together, and in the end, they somehow create a meaningful impact in their lives. So that's that connection. That's another thing that we should be approaching in our schools. Working networks, change our mindset, create a system, work globally, and generate global strategies, and also dream big. In another room, I think you play with Lego. I wasn't there. But I had good, yeah, you have. I can listen some louds. So you learn there, and we learned how the learning process of our life or of anyone is, right? So we start from the experience, then we process all what happens in that experience, then we generate the skills, and at the end we are able to apply those skills. And this is something that, like as the snowball effect, right? It's something that continues, like doing and doing, or rolling throughout our lives. And that's the lifelong learning term, right? This is what we have to be doing around our lives or for the rest of our lives. Here are some of the benefits that were highlighted yesterday, also about the lifelong learning. So, you know, it gives opportunity to grow. It makes you adapt and re-skill, be innovative. We have to learn also to ask the right questions, be curious, learn to unlearn, which is also another important part. And well, in the end, I would say that sharing is caring. We've seen many of you sharing experiences here, and this is what we should be what we should be doing for the next years. You as teachers, as school or vet system professionals, as university leaders or policymakers, you are part of the change. You have to lead the transition, and for that, the first thing you should do is dream it. We have to dream big. Then we have to believe it. Believe in your dreams, believe in yourself, then dare it, and finally, do it. Thank you.
Wonderful, Javier. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you to you and your colleagues. And of course, all the cartoons that have been made, all the input you gave into the voting system, and the recordings of this event will all be available to make a poster and hang in your living room or above your bed. Good. We're almost going to close off this session, but before that we have a slight intermezzo. Boudewijn and Inigo, because normally if I get a request, yeah, we want to say a special thanks to a person, I always say never do that in plenary, do that afterwards at the drinks, because then you have some time for it. But this is a very special person that probably everybody knows. Oh, yes. And I said...
Yes. Well, I was happy that you said this, because Inigo and I had the pleasure of, well, preparing this forum for you all together with Vera and João. And João, I hope you forgive us that we are going to deviate a little from the program. So could you please join us on stage? Well, as you all know, we are close to the end of an era. 33 years of, well, being at the European Commission, and you will be leaving us in February to enjoy your well-deserved free time. And we did not want to leave this moment go past without, well, just saying something about that. You've been one of the driving forces for many, many years in vocational excellence. We've seen that, well, over the last 2 days in Europe, but also making an impact on national level. And as a sector, I think we could not have wished for like a greater ambassador in Brussels than you have been. So I think that is amazing. And also on a personal level, you sometimes joke like, okay, I'm just this gray bureaucrat from Brussels. And we all know that this is, well, quite the opposite. We love your passion, we love your enthusiasm. And even last night, when we were all having drinks or having a nap, he was promoting the European vet excellence in Australia. So this is how committed he is. And we love you for that passion. And then the question came like, okay, how can we acknowledge and honor such a career and everything you've done? And it would be impossible to, well, put it in words, but we have tried to do so. So what we have done is ask everyone here to put some memories and some messages in a book. And we would like to present you with this offer so you can remind us, and as a token of our appreciation for everything you've done. So can I please get a very big round of applause for João?
I mean, I just have to thank all of you because you've made my... This is difficult. You guys are bad. You should have warned me. I would have prepared something. But okay, well, I don't have much words, just to thank you all. I think I've made a small contribution to this kind of sense of community in Europe. I've tried in my best way to make you guys understand that in Brussels we are not just these, gray bureaucrats trying to put the agenda forward, and we're trying to listen to you to understand what on the ground you need in order to do your job better. So I don't know how to do your job, but what we do have the power is to make your life easier. We have financial instruments, we have ways of doing policy, and I hope that I'm leaving in February, that at least you, in your mind, I've managed to contribute to that idea that we are a service, we want to work with you, we want to help you do your job better. And if I've in any way helped to create this kind of sense of community among all of us working in VET in Europe, because I think, most of you, and I've said this even in the dinners we've had last days, I've worked in the Commission in many services. I worked in diplomatic services, I worked in research, I worked in structural policies, I worked in trade policies, and I think people working in education and training are special people. You have a different heart, you convinced all of us. I think we're convinced we are trying to build a better world somehow. We're trying to give people better opportunities in life. We're trying to, through education and training, and in our case, through VET, we are trying our very best to empower people, to have quality jobs, to have fulfilling lives where they can feel part of the community. And I think, as I was saying, the VET people, all of you out there, you know it better than me because you've been working in the sector for longer than me. That's what we are. We are people that care about the others. We are people that try to make, through our daily effort, the life of others much better. Thank you very much for all of you. Wow.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and João, preparing this conference with you, it was such a pleasure because your enthusiasm just sparks and it ignited me as well. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let's go for a closing. We want to kind of know what you think of the past 2 days, what you learned, what you didn't learn, what you experienced, but also what your hopes are for maybe a next conference, if we will have that. For that, I would like to call to the stage back Vanessa Sanchez. Give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
Vanessa, thanks. Good to see you back and that we together can do the closing session.
Yeah, thank you very much for calling me again for collaboration. I think this is one of the main conclusions of this forum. So thanks for calling me again, Rogier.
Wonderful.
Hi again.
Thanks for being here. And I'd like to call to the stage Tamar Kitashvili, Javier Mathieu de Cortada, and Jorge Arevalo. Yeah, we're very pleased to have you here and to have also have your feedback and your ideas of what you've seen the past 2 days, what we're going to talk about. Tamar Kitashvili, you're Director General of Skills Agency Georgia. What is Skills Agency?
Okay, hello everybody. It's my pleasure to be here. Skills Agency is the public-private partnership-based organization which is established together by Georgia's government, presented by Ministry of Education, and private sector in Georgia, presented by Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and is governed by the board, which is 50-50 government and private sector. So the agency is responsible to implement the policy and introduce the reform in the skills sector to transform vocational education system into the skills ecosystem.
Wow, wonderful. And how much have you been inspired by things going on in Europe, or has Europe been inspired by the things you do?
Yes, we are, because Georgia is a developing economic country. Hold on a second. It's back. Almost candidate country into the European Union, is looking to the West all the time and considering the best practices of European countries all the time. But frankly speaking, in these days, I was thinking myself that although we are the countries here at different levels of skill system development, we still face a lot of similar challenges, and we have a lot in common, especially when it comes to unexpected future.
Wonderful. Javier, you're director at Interim at the European Training Foundations, did a lot of sessions here today. Yeah, the Commission on day one made it very clear. What we do with the COVIs in the European Union should not be contained to only the European Union, but we should collaborate with the whole world, not as some kind of, we Europe tell you how to do it, but as a collaboration with each other, because we need each other. How important is that aspect?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think it's working. Yeah.
It is very important to highlight this internationalization part of the vocational education and training policy in general, and particularly that this international collaboration is one part of the what we understand by the COVES, Center of Excellence. I think every time more and more the economy is becoming global. People, the contacts with the internet, with the digital means is more. The world is becoming really small, and we're in a village, in a global village. And in that sense, it is important that these developments run together, and that because there are differences, this tension between universal and local that you presented, it is important to see how the different people around the world are solving those challenges in front of them.
Wonderful.
Maybe COVIS, aren't they kind of a start to start helping actually each other and collaborating, but to start with those with the way of promoting VET, because there's still a lot of things to do in kind of promotion of VET, don't you think so, in society?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the previous session showed very clearly that there is a growing need to work in a more collaborative way between vocational education and training and higher education. I think this could be similarly extended to general education and vocational education. But also I think that it is important to highlight the issue of lifelong learning, and the fact that also between initial VET, which is normally how it is in VET as the schools for young people, also work in the field of continuous training, because most of the adults, we are learning much more in doing our working life in a non-formal and informal way. And I think there's a lot of knowledge in those centers which can become learning centers for everyone, not only for young people in initial learning.
Well, this is definitely a continuous learning for everyone, but don't you feel like something great has started since yesterday and today? Jorge Arévalo, something very interesting is happening at this moment. Es un momento histórico, ¿no? Pero están ocurriendo muchas cosas, pero sin duda
so many things are happening.
Of something big. Es algo, el primer paso de algo muy grande.
Lo que ha hecho la Comisión Europea. What the European Commission did, and the step of the DG Employment with the impulse by John Santos, is going to be a historical step for Europe with implementation of these collaboration networks of COVIS.
So, y a partir de ahora,
and from now on,
you are in VET centers. I cannot think that most of us bring something home to do, some homework. Algunos deberes a partir de ahora.
Sí, muy importante, un deber muy importante, mantener el trabajo.
Yes, to keep the work of this network, to keep collaborating among the countries, to keep these networks and to go on growing with those COVIs.
In order to improve, to get stronger and stronger. ¿Y cuándo nos vemos la próxima? Because, I mean, next, when is it going to be? Do we already have a date?
Pues esta es lo más importante. Esta ha sido la primera.
This was the first, but the next will be next year in the Netherlands.
Okay. Yeah. Today, San Sebastian, the beginning. Next year, we will see each other in your country, Rogier, in the Netherlands.
We have to step up our culinary game because the Netherlands is not really known for very good food.
Yeah, for sure, you have great things.
We're good in other things, maybe. Well, wonderful. Thanks. Yeah, it's going to be great. We would like to know from you. How were the last 2 days for you? We have 3 more questions. Then you're allowed to go. One, we want to know on a scale from 1 to 5. Did you get inspired? Well, Melanie, what are people saying on this question?
It's looking quite well, I would say. It's a scale from 1 to 5, as you said. So we are reaching 4.6 points on making new friends or LinkedIn contacts. So that's a big deal. And also people got inspired, had fun, ate good food. So the ranking is looking quite well. And there was even at least someone who swam in the sea. I wonder who that was.
It was me. Sunday it was slightly better.
Yeah, that was with good weather,
but
wasn't
still,
it?
I had to run to my hotel. What is the next thing we would like to know from our audience?
Yes, so what was the weirdest or most surprising or unexpected conclusion or takeaway from this COVE forum?
Okay, so there's a lot of money. Ooh, that's a good conclusion. That Joao rocks. Well, we already knew that. Where's the microphone?
But what about COVE concept unclear? Yeah. I mean, after all the hours we spent here, and is anything unclear already?
What was your most surprising moment in the last 2 days? Or the one thing you're going to say at home, did you know that?
Well, mainly the most things that people are doing, the very good things we do, because we normally focus on the negative things, on the things we don't, we think we can achieve some objectives. And it's also seeing too much people involved in so many things, so very good things. I think this is the best.
Okay, well, wonderful. What is your most unexpected conclusion or your weirdest thing or the thing you never knew before?
Actually, this morning I was really struck by the visit, and it's very inspiring for me to think about how we can try and bring some of that back to where I'm from, which is...
Yeah, and is that just a matter of money or also political will?
Money, oh yeah, of course, but also methodology. So it was the methodology that struck me.
Well, maybe you can borrow Jorge for a week. If he gives his presentation at home, pretty sure you get all the budget that you need for that. Let's ask one more person on this side.
You know, Rogier, your microphone is one of the most unexpected things. Well, I saw it, now it's starting to be smaller, but...
I take a little commission if you ask me where I buy it. What was your most unexpected conclusion of...
But I liked the way it was presented, first and foremost, because it was a bit innovative, not like normal forums that you attend. That is a positive thing, because it aided interaction, it aided networking. I also liked a particular presentation where the speaker had a new way of instilling and promoting networking. That for me was something very innovative.
What is the method?
The speaker segregated us in terms of regional, where we come from, and by promoting certain questions, we were able to find possible partners in our next proposals. And that is something that I really liked, and I really appreciated that.
Okay, that speaker was the Nokia of this session. He was really good at...
And what if we ask to Jorge, Tamara and Xavier, the most unexpected, la conclusión más inesperada, in one word, if you can, please.
The experience of Technica was really excellent for me. Yeah, I learned a lot from Technica, the visit of Technica.
The speakers, you mean? I didn't hear.
Technica.
Oh, Technica.
I can share this experience, but although it was my second time, I still found some developments in Technica and new technologies, which was really surprising.
¿Y Jorge?
A mí, el interés
y la seriedad de toda la gente que está aquí hoy.
The interest and the way the people that have been here with the last couple of days have been so serious with everything that they've done. And here yesterday and tomorrow. So it's you.
Melanie, what was the last? Can we see? What did people say? So Technica, Joe, is there also one you want to highlight from this one?
Someone wrote super funny moderator, so that's also a compliment for you.
That also is a compliment for you. You did fantastic, Melanie. You're a total talent. 3 days ago, Melanie didn't even know that she had to do this. Okay, wonderful. Then the last question we have for you is, if we next year we're going to meet in the Netherlands. Bring your raincoat, but that you also need here. We're going to meet in the Netherlands. What should we discuss? What should we do? What should we include? What are your expectations for next year that you say, if we do that, I'm definitely going to be there? Bring more companies is one of the first we see. Someone who has a request, this is a free feature request. You say it today, 1 year later you will see it. Is there someone who has a specific idea of what you would like to see next year? What should we do next year to have you again?
I think more opportunities for exchange in small groups.
Small groups, yeah, we're gonna do that. What should we do to have you next year again?
Many things. Maybe some of the costs, the excellence, if they can present like small presentation here and there, so we can go in more depth.
Okay, yeah, it's a request. It's a request. I've gotten more the last 2 days. We want to have some presentation from the COVs to show what are we doing, also to not a theoretical, but just show some pictures. Let us show concretely what we're doing. So next year we're definitely gonna have some of that. Yeah,
show and speak about it.
Definitely. Melanie, what are people saying?
Yes, so definitely nice study visits are demanded. Also speed dating session was mentioned, short sessions per country and exchange on common challenges.
Yeah.
And a bit more sunshine.
Okay.
Can you do that?
More urban greening, maybe something outside? Some speed dating outside?
We got some matchmaking. We're gonna do that. Okay, Tamar and Javier, what should we do to have you next year also at our conference? You need a microphone for that.
Microphone.
I think this idea of vocational education and training, receiving the lessons learned from COVES, so this tension of this concept of excellence, and in practical terms that the vocational education and training becomes more agile, more fast reacting to the needs of individuals and the society.
Wonderful. Tamar?
I would like to have more emphasis on transformation, transformational pedagogy and transformation as such, because COEs are designed to support and boost the quick transformations. And I think what we need to do, this is the transformation in the classroom. So we do not need to rise our new generation as a competitors of robots, but we want them to become more creative, to become inventors. And this is only achievable through the transformative pedagogy, meaningful pedagogy, and I would like to have more attention on that.
Wonderful.
And also one more point, I was liking a little bit the focus on entrepreneurial education and entrepreneurship as the support of the economy with the small and micro businesses, because we believe in Georgia that since the majority of Georgian companies are small and medium, we believe that the TVET graduates are the best suitable candidates to become micro and small businesses. So wonderful. That would be a good focus.
You get applause for that. Yeah, wonderful.
Well, you have lots of homework to do
lots of homework
for next year.
And of course, when we're gonna close, we want you to be here for a picture. First, everyone who has been on the panel and a speaker, and then everybody. So stay 1 second for the picture. But first,
yeah, I think you kind of know already the Basque country. We started dancing. I mean, some dancers came here. We like speaking, but we love music. We love to translate our emotions with music and dance. So let's welcome on the stage some of the most important traditional dancers in the Basque country. They are called Aukeran, and it's a big celebration now to wrap up this great forum.
So let's
welcome them.
And let's give a big round of applause to Tamar, Xavier, and Jorge Arevalo. Thank you so much for being here.
asko aukeran. Well, that was the best way
Wow, that was
to
fantastic.
finish this forum with this great energy.
Not sure the Dutch can do the wooden shoe dance next year like that. It's, we're gonna shoot that. Okay, can we get everybody who has been a speaker here on the stage, and then we take a first picture and we take a second picture with everybody because we're inclusive. Come to the stage, come stand here. Make sure you can see the photographer, then the photographer can see you.
Please don't be shy. It's a family picture.
It's one big family picture. Yeah, get together here. We don't have to dance. No, we don't. You may though. It's not forbidden.
Ah, bueno.
Yeah, come to the stage. Where's the the photographer? Yeah, the photographer is there. Where do you want everybody?
Bueno, berdin, azkenean zuek zarete importanteak.